Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's November the 11th, 7:03 p.m. Thank you to everyone that's live right now with us on X and on YouTube. Thank you for your support. We come to you live right now. We're going to be diving in to talk about the Game 3 win by penalty shootout by the Lions against Charlotte. We're also going to be talking about the Eastern playoff chaos that happened. Don Garber went to the nearest 7-Eleven in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, grabbed two bottles of Fireball, buy one, get one 50% off, chugged them on the way back to take his flight back to New York. And well, he didn't have a pretty good night. And we also will discuss um, more MLS playoff and some of the debates that have been happening in the interwebs. With me is John Rollins. John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Great, man. Good. Happy we got that win. It was
It's
it
amazing,
was
right? Well,
chaos. It was cardiac cats, it's how not how we want it to, but we would have loved to have won that game in regular in regulation, of course, but I was like feeling positive throughout the first half with the amount of chances we had, and as the game went on, that feeling of like, oh, are we gonna, are we gonna make it? What's happening? So to come back from that late goal to win it was epic, and we live to fight another day, Luis. So the boys, you can tell how much it means to them, and it was great to see them celebrate in front of the wall.
oh, for sure. I mean, I've been to a lot of Orlando City games, but I've never seen such them being such the 12th man in that PK shooting. It was vital for Pedro, even though he did mention that they practiced it a little bit more. He didn't want to kind of reveal what they were actually doing. He didn't want to tell press, but they've been doing pretty well, and that goes for everybody. So the Rafa Santos penalty was also worked on. So he actually this whole shuffle thing. I'm like, yo, if he misses and he does this Neymar crap, I'm gonna be so mad. But this was practiced, so I'm actually happy that this was practiced and we were able to make it through. Also, I do want to say, Congress also it was a good job for Charlotte, because Charlotte fought very hard. Fought very hard, and they definitely made it far. I think their fans should not be, drilling the players for this defeat. But obviously, based on the stats alone, I think the best team won. John.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I look back and looked at, and you definitely had that feeling throughout the first half. I mean, it was early on that we started with chances, right? I mean, we could have got one very early, and it just feel like most of the first half was a lot like of us just peppering them, as I would say, all over their goal. And we just weren't able to get that, final shot in the back of the net. So a very good start. I think there were some chances for Charlotte. Of course, they're playing like Brexit football. They're playing lower league English, football there, Luis, with a lot of guys deep behind the ball, pack the box, try and hit us on the counter attack. And there's a few chances where looking a bit upset. Was Schlegel able to hold on to Agamang? And so that was a little bit nerve wracking, but overall from the game, I mean, 20 shots to their 7, 6 of ours on target to their 4. We had 6 big chances. And it was similar to that second game where Kalina just kept bailing them out, Luis. So he was making saves. We weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net. And that first half really felt like to me like we should have scored 1 or 2. And we kind of left the door open for Charlotte, I believe, to get that first goal.
Yeah, I mean, early in the game, I believe Orlando had several opportunities to score. I think there was one part that Ojeda sent a cross into the box and then deflected off Torres. And then Kalina was just an easy save. And then also Tim Ream tried to pass it back to Kalina and then kind of caused confusion in Araujo. Kind of Araujo kind of, confused them a little bit. And then, Kalina actually fumbled the ball a little bit. So Ojeda,
The Torres chance that came off the post and like
yeah,
looked like it almost went in the goal and came back out again.
yeah, two opportunities that hit the post for Orlando. Also, I think Martino Ojeda was had a great game in the first half. I think that in the first half he tried, I think, the most up top. You know what I mean? Now, what do you think about this Charlotte team, John? I mean, they fought hard, but I just felt like Orlando. I mean, they were just kind of waiting for that counter, and they finally got that in the second half.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, it's like their whole tactic. I mean, I think at their house they had a bit more confidence with their crowd on turf, like they felt they could play a bit more. Here, I don't really feel like they came to try and, play us in an open game. They came, like I said, to play, Brexit counterattacking football. And that's how they got their goal. And, Agamang on the counterattack was causing problems for Schlegel, like I said. And the one that they get, it's unlucky because Jansen like just makes a mistake, and that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the mistake, and then it gets up the net. I mean, up the field and back to Swiderski. I think I gotta say Schlegel here, Luis. If you go and watch it back, he's really not like he's got to be a blame for this goal because if you watch, he doesn't. Pep Biel gets the ball, he doesn't close him down enough, and then when the ball comes back into the box, he hasn't picked up Swiderski to stop him from getting the goal. So I think some lapses here for them. But the fact that it was like the 80th minute and we've been all over them, it just kind of was like, oh no, this is how you lose to a team like Charlotte, right? Because we're all over them, all the chances, and then they get one on the counter. So really happy that we got that last minute, penalty and pulled it back because we could be sitting here talking about a game that where we were all over them and still lost. So this was what they wanted. This was their tactic the whole time. They didn't try and play us in an open game. They just wanted to try and score on the counter. They got that. But I feel like we deserved at least a goal or two in this one ourselves. So glad that we didn't leave, disappointed and frustrated and managed to get out of there with the win.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, um, the good thing, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, we should have never reached penalty kicks." We should have won easy. I mean, try to put on a jersey and play over 90 minutes. In a playoff game in front of 20,000 people. I mean, it's just easier for people to say that, but in my opinion, I feel like Orlando City in this game, it kind of looked more like the earlier version of Orlando City in game one. When they beat 2-0. I just felt like it was definitely they definitely did their homework this time. I think game two, the pitch and maybe also Charlotte trying to win it in front of their fans. And then penalties. Russian roulette. They probably Orlando thought they were going to close it in 2 games. But I do want to still say, I mean, I think the thing that Orlando needs to improve to make it further down is taking care of those chances that they miss in the first half. I mean, they had so many chances. The game should have been up 3-0 at least by the half. I know that there's some things, some opportunities hit the post, but for example, it was a 60-30 possession in the first half. And when you have a 60-30 possession, it's like complete utter domination for Orlando City, not only in passes, transitions, chances, goal, shots on goal, and all of that. So, but there were some misses, you know what I mean? And I think that to us could definitely bite us, especially now that there's a 2-week break. And again, here it comes with the scheduling. And I want to ask you that, John. How do you feel? There's a 2-week break now. On until the Lions play again. Atlanta that comes super motivated by knocking down Inter Miami. Do you think that's beneficial to us? Do you think it really doesn't matter to you that long period of time?
I mean, I think we'll get into it later when we talk a lot about, the general like format and the questions that are come up over MLS, but I think this one is not necessarily the playoffs, it's more the fact that we just don't play during international breaks. So, for me, this 2-week break in playoffs sucks because it's in the playoffs, but this would be happening whenever because MLS, like whenever we have international breaks, we're not in sync with the rest of the world. So this just happens anyway. I think what sucks is, like we'll talk about the best of three format, but it's just too long. Like we're just there's way too much time. Like think about when the end of the season happened and then like the final game, it's like what, like 8 weeks of playoffs or something. Like I swear it used to be like a month. So we can be done way earlier than we need to be. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I think the players also hate it. I think, just having this 2 weeks is not good for us. Like we've seen, in fact, actually the first game against Charlotte, we had 2 weeks off, remember, right? From the end of the season, and we played well. That's probably like one of the rare occasions where we seem to benefit from 2 weeks. I feel like we're so much better when we just go week to week
That's
to
right.
week. So here's hoping that 2 weeks doesn't kill our momentum at all because, but I also think it's crazy that Ricky Puig, I think it was, that said like he had like 23 days from their Galaxy win till the next game. Like that, that's insane amount of time between one round of the playoffs and the next. Like that's way too much time.
Now, I do want to say I'm very proud of the players. Charlotte came. I don't know if you noticed this too. Charlotte came to disrupt and hit us where it hurts, pretty much. They came to play rough on Araujo, to play rough on Cartagena, to play rough on Angulo, to play rough on Facu. I mean, they seemed that the message was try to disrupt the mid and they'll break down, turn over the ball. And, yes, on that goal we'll discuss in just a moment, the Charlotte goal. I mean, to me, I know that you said it was another player, but to me, I felt it was Robin Jansen, and we'll discuss that later on. I felt he
I think
was
it
a
was
little
both
bit
of
too.
them. Jansen
Yeah,
first and then Schlegel after.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think he was a little slow, but then again, their message from their coach was go there and disrupt the mid for Orlando City, play play aggressive, and typically when that happens, and we've had teams playing like that aggressive. Inter has played a couple times like that against us, and they really messed up with our heads. We've gotten red cards, yellow cards for no reason, dissent cards. In this game, it was a little different. I felt like as Charlotte sloppier tried to play aggressive against Orlando, I felt Araujo was kind of like I think he probably did a lot of yoga, a lot of breathing. I mean, he was pretty calm. Um, Also, Cartagena, right? So even though in the end he did get a yellow, but I mean, I just felt like typically Cartagena will just boom get a yellow right away. Araujo also as well, Jansen, even Schlegel, but I felt like they handled their emotions pretty well. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, I thought that was really good, and I think that's how they should be playing defensively. The whole entire playoff.
I don't think Wilder actually got a yellow, man. I
If
don't
he didn't
think
get
he
a
did.
yellow,
Yeah, no, I think he. I
it
think I was
was last
impressed.
game, right? It was a game
Yeah, it
before
was
that,
the
right?
game before. If he'd have got a yellow in this one, that would have been it. So he didn't get the yellow, which was
Yeah,
rare
confusing.
for Wilder. I agree, and Cesar too. And
But
yeah,
typically they will get a yellow when they're being like,
100. Yeah, and they definitely tried to sucker us into that game. Like they
right.
were putting in fouls from behind, and the ref was just doing the usual. Like I'm not going to do anything about it. I mean, how many fouls did they have all game, and how many yellow cards? It often doesn't add up for me. They did get a significant number of yellows, but not until the second half. I think the ref was reluctant to give any out early, but there were definite some obvious fouls, and they were trying to disrupt us. They were trying to, when we started to build with the ball with our attacking mids, they would, use their defensive mids to kind of come from behind. Like Diani was coming, trying to steal the ball back out of position and stuff. So they played their game to frustrate us, but I think ultimately we did create a lot of chances, especially in that first half. So they tried to defend, but I think we were too much attacking wise, and I definitely should have scored one of those early chances. Do you want to read some comments, Luis?
Yeah, let's read some comments real quick. It says JCB's the team kept composure with a high press. The goal came from a mistake, but we played very well. Sitch Taylor, do you see the game on the TV? Yes, I saw it. No, I saw it on at the stadium, sir. Do you see Miami get bad call for Orlando City versus Miami? It's true. I don't know if they got a bad call. Vamos Orlando, let's go about advancing to the next round. Gallese and Torres coming up clutch, says Joshua Tall. Anthony Solis, Charlotte was blocking our passing lanes. There you go. Would you change Oscar's consistent starting 11 versus ATL? I think Muriel and Duncan have a strong case to be in there, says OC sideline support. Honestly, I wouldn't. Knowing Oscar, I don't think he'll change his lineup.
I don't think Oscar would, and I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah,
Only because I think Muriel and Duncan change the game when they
right.
come on. Like we go so much more direct. We have like 2 striker options. It causes, like it did for Charlotte, it causes them real problems.
Jeffrey O.
Enrique though has gone a bit quiet. I will say that.
Who?
Enrique, he's gone a bit quiet.
Yeah, Enrique's gone a bit quiet. Yeah, because he's
like he's not contributing to the game. He's just not. I don't see him getting like breakaway chances right now. I think maybe Charlotte just figured him out and just he was getting out muscled these 3 games.
Not only that. I mean, you're talking about their back line is some of the tallest in the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we're trying to play. Like Enrique, we're trying to play the ball into Enrique's feet. Like he does not
Yeah.
That for me is sometimes where I'm like, okay, Enrique's on the field. He's not Duncan. You can't lump a ball into him and expect him to hold it up. He's not gonna be able to do that, especially not against like Tim Ream and Malanda. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like with Santos and then also Kyle Smith at some point when he came in, all they kept doing was hitting the flank, making a cross, but then we don't have a 9. And I mean, we don't have a pivot, kind of like what Urgent Kara came to do here in Orlando at some point. That we don't have a guy that's in the area. So now if we want to get a striker like that, I'll say go and poach Campana from Inter Miami. I think he'll fit perfectly there. It will be a middle finger to Inter Miami.
So you
promise the guy, hey, dude, he'll fit perfectly in Pareja's system. I think he'll be great. This is Buenas noches, everyone. What a win, and El Pulpo took care of business. Jeffrey O, can't believe we're still here. Sitch Taylor, Miami bad call for Atlanta, red card, yellow card. Thank you. Sean, sat next to some Charlotte fans, and they were very kind people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're great fans.
I was really impressed with that.
I was very
way
impressed
attendance,
too.
man. That is, like obviously some of their fan base are pissed, right?
Of course,
and we probably would be too when there's controversial things like penalty calls and offsides and all of that, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I think generally they're a good fan base. They got a good thing going, and I think as long as they get themselves out of that American football stadium, then they got a good club.
No, for sure. I mean, I think they got to be proud on what they've done in this playoff run. And honestly, I know this is gonna sound kind of bad, but look, that Diani guy, man, that guy needs to play basketball. Malanda, bro, he definitely let me down in this playoff run. I thought he was a pretty good center back. Kerwin Vargas completely turned off. I think he was neutralized completely to the point that Coach Smith took him out. They're like, yeah, this is not working. It's kind of like when Oscar took off Angulo, he's like, yeah, it's not working out, man. Right now, it's not working out. So, sometimes you got to make those decisions. So, I mean, but they do have a really grassroots movement. So good for them, All teeth, no. All tentacles, laugh out loud. I think, yeah, boys. There you go. word on the streets, John, is that the Messi jerseys are 70% off right now. Yeah, I heard Ross, TJ
Yeah, man.
Maxx.
Yeah, they're on discount, you know.
That's right. That's right.
But Messi, he be sipping on that Michelob Ultra on the beach, you know. He chilling. He don't have to worry anymore.
Yeah. But
But
anyways, then we go into, we got I feel this is it kind of reminds me of Creed's song "My Sacrifice." I heard that song in the background. I saw Duncan falling. You know, you know, I saw Duncan falling, sacrificing himself, kind of like a wrestler. Like the Hardy Boys or the Dudley Boys, just kind of sacrificing his own body for the team, man. And just kind of, I mean, they grabbed his jersey. It was a clear foul. Went to VAR, foul for Orlando, and I think now uh Faku took the PK, right? So that's good. It wasn't Robin. You know, he even said it. Yeah, I missed the PK. But Faku took the PK. It was a great PK. Obviously, Kalina got it first. Then he got the rebound and scored. And then, man, the whole stadium went off, man. And after that, I felt like, and even before the penalty, I think the comeback, like the attitude that they showed uh, prior to the penalty, I thought that was really, really, really good. It kind of reminded me of this big run that they've had, being last in the East almost to getting their form back, and boom, getting fourth seed in the East, and now being the last seeded team in the East left. Everybody's gone. It's only Orlando and New York, one of the New Yorks, hopefully going through. So I don't know. What do you think about the attitude of the players in this game?
yeah, I mean, it's they didn't give up. I think that's
Yeah,
the important thing. Like it's when that goal went in, man. Like I was pretty much like, yo, this is done, and it doesn't deserve to be done. We didn't
yeah.
deserve to go out in that
I
moment.
was gonna
So
text you, but I was like,
yeah,
no.
I was pretty depressed. I gotta say at
Yeah,
that, I didn't really have much to say. I was just kind of hands on head, standing in the wall, looking pretty distraught with the situation. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation where we keep going and we bring on guys like Duncan, and that's stupid from Diani. Like, why do you pull him there and give us the chance? And then I couldn't watch the Faku penalty because I just like could not bring myself to watch that. So I heard the crowd go like, "Oh," and then I heard afterwards. So I was like, "Oh, thank God he put it in." And then we went to penalties, Luis. Before we go to penalties, though, I do want to go back and say the Ajamang had that offside goal that was called
yeah.
in the first half. There was some controversy around that one. Like I can't really see, like you can't really see a good angle of it. No one's really seen a good angle of it. So some of the Charlotte fans are like, "Hey, that shouldn't have been called back." But then we could say the same thing about like Duncan in the second game. So right,
I
like
mean,
there's
how many times
yeah, like
has
it,
Orlando been shafted?
100%. I think that's what I kind of like. I feel for Charlotte because I'm like,
Welcome to the
yeah,
MLS, Charlotte.
if it was in our like if it happened to us, we would probably be sitting here saying the same
Exactly.
thing, like
It's the
it's not
same thing.
offside. But also, you can't leave it up to those decisions. Like we said, that's happened to us a bunch, right? You got to win the game, not relying on the refs to make those calls or not make those calls. And then
Yeah.
there was like debate on the penalty. I don't think there's any debate on the penalty. I think it's
No.
just straight up a penalty. So, there's argument over the offside call for that goal or not. But outside of that, I mean, we were the better team over 3 games. They won in the second game, but we played really badly, and they only won on penalties, as Taylor Twellman tweeted out to say that they've not won a playoff game in Charlotte's history. They've got 2 ties
Wow.
and 1 loss on penalties and 1 win on penalties. So
Well,
overall, the 3 games, we were the better team. But when it came to this penalty shootout, man, like, I mean, I don't know what you were thinking, but I was thinking, oh, here we go again. Kalina's gonna save them all, and we're gonna have to go home.
look, I thought that too at first, but then I remembered the whole thing that they were saying in the post press conference for the last game, saying this is a learning experience. We're going to learn from this, and so I felt they did learn from it because even Pedro, you guys could check out the footage on the post press conference. It's on our YouTube channel. It's he's like, yeah, we've practiced. We had to practice. I'm not gonna say how we practiced because then I'll be giving up too much. He said it straight up. But we have practiced, and this is something that the fans were also an important part. And again, that's the advantage of making making your house a fortress. And I think that whether all difference aside between some parts of the fan base, we all want Orlando to go through the next round, right? And so when it comes to supporting, you gotta just yell as hard as you want, yell at Kalina, yell at everyone that's there, especially when it comes to PKs, because the game against Atlanta could go to PKs too. I mean, it's not gonna be as easy as people are saying. I think Atlanta is coming very strong. And so I thought they were definitely the 12th man right there. I think the fans stepped up tremendously for being EDC and me literally seeing a unicorn in a thong at OBT at 11 o'clock at night. Um,
That's just
and,
like mild. That's average for
right.
EDC.
And after seeing two guys passed out with their limes all over the place, and having all these events around, pulling 20,000, it's pretty impressive. So kudos to the fans because I felt they had a massive effect on this game.
Yeah.
Massive.
And like, we love this club and like we're gonna be
Yeah.
there week in and week out, but we understand there's a lot of fans and other things are happening in the city like EDC,
Yeah.
Justin
Justin
Timberlake,
Timberlake.
like the Magic, the Solar Bears. There's, obviously you're always competing with the parks. Like there's so much here. So I agree, Luis. I was concerned based on some of the ticket sales, and the fact this is an add-on game. I was like, how much are we gonna get in? But especially the wall, the atmosphere was 10 out of 10, man.
Tremendous.
It was, and I could feel like the wall was really connecting with other parts of the stadium. It just kind of felt like we were one unit, and having the penalties in front, yeah, I mean, makes, we're all quiet when we go up, and we're making so much noise when they're taking one. And Charlotte was talking about how in game two that really helped them, and of course, and game three that's a massive help for us. But for Pedro, man, I mean, it's
Yeah.
that first save is incredible.
Yeah.
Full
Pedro.
stretch,
Pedro was
great
massive.
save. Yeah,
You
and that
know.
sets us up, right? Him and Muriel, the two leaders, set us up with a save and a penalty, complete opposite of game two. Like that's the confidence we need from those guys in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, talking about Pedro, you know, he's never been the best PK keeper. I will say in his career, he's never been the
It's not a
top.
strong suit.
PKs are definitely were not never his strong suit, but I felt like here he definitely said, "Hey, I'm not. I want to move forward." Like he definitely I think put the work a little more, trained kind of a little more, and it kind of delivered. Now, talking about the evolution of Pedro Gallese here in the City Beautiful, his contract expires in the end of the year. Um, Look, I know for a fact he wants to stay here. I can tell you this. He's in love with the city. His family loves it here. I have, and I know I'm probably risking a lot of things, but I have no doubt that he's going to be staying in Orlando. I think this is brewing for this to make a special moment for him and his family, and he's definitely. I feel like he's going to be staying a couple of more years with us now. There are going to be rumors coming up, I'm sure, from South America about how everybody wants to poach him, and he ain't going to South America. And the situation right now over there, it's terrible. I don't think there's no livable working conditions in my opinion, especially in that league when the president of the Peruvian Federation is in jail for they want to give him 35 years for corruption. So I don't think there's a chance for Pedro Gallese to even fathom going back to Peru to play. So, um,
I think there were, obviously he had a rough start to the year. Like the whole
yeah,
team had a rough start to the year. And then he's back to the Pedro that we know. I think for me, the most important thing is right now, Luis, he's a guy that can win us games. Like
yeah,
Kalina was he kept Charlotte in this
that's pretty good.
tie the whole
Yeah,
time, right? Like Pedro can keep us in a game even when we have defensive lapses. Like there was this one moment in this match where it was Adrian Mang was completely free and he came way out of his box and like
yeah,
cleared the ball away and then made another save on the edge of his box. Like it's moments like that that if we're gonna go far this year, and get to a Eastern Conference final and a final, we need Pedro performing like he is right now. And I think that's he's one of the highest paid keepers in MLS, and right now he's earning that money.
yeah. I know, definitely. I think he's definitely he stepped up his game. Same with a lot of the players. Muriel also being like you said. And I think Muriel now he's gonna have one whole full preseason with the team. So hopefully, next year he's even better than what it is now. But yeah, a phenomenal win for the Lions. Now we face Atlanta United. We'll discuss that on the next episode. I'm sure we'll dive into how is Atlanta gonna be facing us. Forever Lion, Rob Valentino,
Yeah.
former Orlando City center back. In the USL era, great, great, great. I'm sure if you're an OG OCSC fan, you have a Valentino jersey somewhere there. A Lotto one, I'm sure. Um, he's coming back. He's definitely shown he's the man for the job in Atlanta. If they don't give it to him, I'll be pissed. But then again, it's it's not my decision. If they don't give it to him, I'll be pissed off. But he's definitely shown that they definitely slayed the beast, John. So let's talk about a little bit of playoff chaos. Well, why don't you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just trying to find the picture. Hold on, here it is. Uh, Rob Valentino, there he
There you go.
is. With the Legoland, Florida sponsor
Yeah,
on the back of the Lotto jersey. Yo,
yeah.
this is vintage. So if you don't know, obviously he played for us for years in USL and was our captain.
The
So
captain, yeah,
forever, he won like 4 trophies in 4 years in
correct.
USL. So what's
He's a big part of history.
yeah,
Big
like
part of
he
it.
he is he was a great center back and a great leader and a great guy. And so it was awesome to see, I think, for him. Just so many times we talked about it before. Like he's been pulling it out for Atlanta, and this time, I mean, they managed to knock off Miami. So it's huge, Luis. I mean, it was we came home. I put on TV. I was like, I gotta see what's happening here. Who are we gonna play? And I gotta say, nothing made me happier than to watch Inter Miami probably do the most Inter Miami thing possible. Like, and stand there all looking around like, hey, why didn't the ball go out when there was no reason for the ball to go out? So for them to lose it because of their own hubris, Luis, I think is just perfect, And shout out to the ref for not giving in to their, and just letting the game go and them scored the goal for Atlanta because that's how it should be. Other refs would have pandered to Messi and the boys as they just gave up on defending, but he did not, and that's caused real chaos, Luis, in the playoffs. So obviously now, great for us because we are the remaining highest seed in East. So that means that we're going to be hosting Atlanta, of course, in a couple of weeks. What is it, Sunday the 24th? So that's awesome. And that also means if we, you know, look at the rest of the teams that are left in here, obviously our chances are much higher. No Columbus, no Cincy, no Inter Miami. So things are looking good, man. It really is. It's crazy to think that the top three seeds are all out.
Look, Brad Guzan, phenomenal. I'm just gonna say 40 years
I
old.
really don't like Braguzan, but yeah,
No, I mean, you
he
gotta
had
give
a
it to the
great game.
man.
He's like having an annoying resurgence. Like, what?
You,
You're like 40 years old. You shouldn't be this good.
yeah, I mean, here in this pod, we criticized that he was getting paid too much, but I feel like
Well,
now,
he's been rough the last few years, man. This
yeah.
is really like a, like I think his last dance kind of thing.
So 8 saves in a single postseason. I think it's an MLS record right now. No, it's the second player in MLS history with 8+ saves in a single postseason, and then it's crying fest. And I wouldn't say it comes from people that wear the flamingo shirts. It's coming from the pundits. It's coming from Telemundo, Univision. It's coming from NBC Universal. It's coming from freaking what's his name, Hercules Gomez, crying. Is this a is the it's Inter Miami the you know eh, why they didn't win, so everybody's trying to figure out why Inter didn't make it, and it's called soccer. It's called just the sport that we all love. It makes it that sometimes, when it's not all name recognition. You have to have 11 players that are gung-ho into one common goal. The collective sometimes takes care of the individual, and I feel like the way Rob Valentino tactically set up that game was masterful. I mean, it totally, Tata Martino didn't see it coming. Neither of the players. But I do want to give a shout out to my friend Franco Panizo. He covers Inter Miami. He's been here in the pod before. He was heavily criticized, and he was literally like bullied online over him saying that Messi should have done a little more. That he felt like Messi really should have done a little more. And he was like, "Oh, from all over, man, even from like freaking Bangladesh, like just being hit on, like, oh, how you dare talk about the goat like that, and how you call yourself a journalist and blah blah blah, and people are just throwing tomatoes at him. I mean, this is a guy that he's just reporting what he sees. He's not really has any feelings towards Lionel Messi. So I'm happy in a way. I think that this league has grown so much that is not just Inter Miami. I mean, talking about Columbus, Cincinnati, Charlotte, New York Red Bulls. Talk about New York City FC without any major stars. Orlando City, and what they've done also in the youth level. I mean, talk about on the West. You have like Colorado, RSL, Galaxy, whether you like it or not. Like these are teams that are, I feel like that's the real progression of the league, you know, but not just getting a bunch of good players, or players that were good at some point, playing in the elite level and putting them together. And sometimes it doesn't pan out. And clearly it's shown that it didn't pan out. It didn't pan out their way. And I felt Don Garber is definitely taking his losses now, John.
Yeah, I mean, it's he was at our game. I was shocked. I was like, "Are you gonna like take a private jet down to see Messi? Like, what are you doing here, man? Like, surely you're down there telling them not to foul Messi." But that was not the case. I think also like everyone's like, "Oh, biggest upset in MLS history," and it's like, well, Miami had a very good season, and we're probably the best attacking team across the season, but they had periods where they were good defensively, and they've had periods where they're not good defensively. And like right now, like I think Atlanta have a decent attack, but honestly, they shouldn't be giving up that many goals in the playoffs. If you finish first, you shouldn't be letting a team that finished ninth put 6 goals on you
Yeah.
across 3 games like that. At the end of the day, Miami's defense was just not good enough. And I think also like the Messi fans and the Messi bots, whatever happens, they're not going to blame Messi. Like I saw everybody blaming Tata, and I think maybe Tata didn't get his tactics just right or whatever. But also, I think you got to look at some of these guys and said like, Busquets wasn't, killing it at the time. Jordi Alba, Suarez, like if you've got all these attacking talents and they're not getting you over the line, then maybe you're just, not that good when it comes down to it. Like they have good moments throughout the year and bad moments, and they came into the playoffs and they weren't hot. And if you're not hot in the playoffs, that's it. I mean, look at Columbus. Same thing, right? Like Columbus kill it throughout the year, but when it comes to the playoffs, they got knocked out by the Red Bulls. Cincinnati, like it's crazy. I think last year we saw these big like Eastern giants, like almost like, so you got like Columbus, and Miami were on the way up to becoming one, and Cincinnati were always growing. And the fact that those three are out this year just shows the growth of like the New York teams and us and like Atlanta, that like everybody is pushing to try and achieve the level that the top teams are at in this league. And I think it shows that the East is really competitive, Luis. It really is.
Yeah,
And
it is.
some of these games are really entertaining. I think we'll talk in a minute about the best of three format, but it's been interesting. Let's say that.
This is how the Miami outlets are. Failure in Miami. It's a failure.
Yeah, I mean that's a complete failure to them because they, with that team, it was all like we have to win everything. So I get that, but I also think that like calling it complete failure is,
Yeah.
you won the Shield. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like, it wasn't terrible, but at the end of the day, that's 2 seasons without MLS Cup, and so is that it for Tata? Like probably, because the expectations are so high there that I don't think they're going to give him another season.
And Messi ain't getting any younger, and Messi
Nope.
ain't getting any younger, and even if they bring Neymar with half a knee, it ain't happening. You know what I mean? So that comes to now us facing Atlanta in the semis for the East, awaiting for hopefully one of the New Yorks going to the final. My vote is for NYCFC. I think NYCFC might make it past the Red Bulls. We'll see. But
I'm just glad we're not playing in a baseball stadium
yeah,
or a football stadium,
yeah.
man. Like, I'm just glad the next round we're gonna be at home, and that's great. That's what we need. And then after that, home again, So
Yeah. Now,
that if we get there,
Jordi Alba today, yesterday had some words about the format of um of the playoffs and how it was very unfair on them and how it's not normal to have 3 games for one series and playing the same team 3 times. I don't know if he realizes, but Don Garber changed that law and that rule probably to benefit Inter more than anything. So to me, it's very, very, very funny how it's funny. Um, it's just funny. How he kind of mentioned all of that when they favored them almost the entire season. So I don't know.
I mean, I agree with Jordi Alba in a weird way,
No, I agree
Like
too. I
I
think
think
it's
he's right.
stupid.
I
I
think the
agree.
best of three it's a money grab. We know that it's so that teams like Charlotte can have a playoff game, even though they haven't finished in a top four. I think I don't mind the best of three. I think what kills me more than anything is, like we said, is just how long it takes to do playoffs, and with the international break that we're going in now, and just the momentum. And I think not only for the players but also for the sport. Like if you think about playoffs in this country and other leagues, they're like, basketball and baseball is like every night, like it's back-to-back games. It's, of course they're different sports, but there's a certain amount of like excitement and momentum that builds up from the event continuously happening close together. When we have like 2 weeks or so, people that are like a casual fan that would have come to that game, Luis, if I said to you then, okay, but like the next one's not for like 2 weeks away, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, okay, like, great, I'm into this now. When do I come again? It just kills that vibe. And I think also like people forget and they're like, oh, the playoff is still going on. It's like, oh yeah, come back, but not next week, in 2 weeks time. I just think all of that contributes to it, the lack of excitement. I feel like a lot of fans are just switched off by the time the MLS Cup final actually comes around because it's so long since the end of the season.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree on the fact that it should have never been 3 games. I mean,
I mean, that's contributing to the length, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it
Yeah,
should
I
never
mean,
be
it comes down to why there are 9 teams that get in the playoffs. Like,
right. It should never be 3 games, and it should be well, okay. We want to give it two. Okay, give it two, and you add both. Both results together. And you use goal differential. As your to see who goes through. Uh, but that's the Don Garber's MLS. You know what I mean? So those are the rules, and it is what it is. And I feel like also he was probably very frustrated because I felt too that that team kind of didn't expect Atlanta to come out that way. They were expecting with their fans and all of that for the fans to be just super loud and super, and honestly, it's a very young team, John. I mean, think about it. It's still is a team in diapers for MLS still. So even their supporters, a lot of the big supporters and the big fans now of this team, it's probably their first year watching MLS. So eh, welcome to the MLS, guys. Welcome to the MLS. So
I'm gonna read some comments, Luis.
okay.
Ready? So JC Beast, this one was a while ago, says the team kept composure with the high press. The goal came from a mistake. We played very well. Joshua Tall says, yes, we should definitely have scored that a few chances from the first half. Sean McCullen says, I've never heard the stadium so silent when the ref went on the mic during VAR. Yeah. That ref is like hero. I want to like clip that, Luis, of him being like, the decision on the field stands. I'm like, the only time that the ref with the VAR says what we want to hear. Cash 65 says, I was at the game and I am sad we are not filling up this stadium. I think it is frustrating that we don't have a full stadium for playoffs, but I'm also understanding, right, Luis? Like we're appreciative of the fans that we do have. Of course, we always want more. Sidge says, "RUC Miami Atlanta bad call." Yeah, we talked about that, Sidge. So you can go back and look. Duncan, for Joshua Tall says, Duncan, a legend, getting his shoulder popped out of place, running to the trainer, and then popping it back in. Luis, did you see that?
Yeah, it took 5 people to pop it back into place.
And he wanted to go and take the penalty.
Yeah, he wanted to go back and take the penalty, but Oscar said no.
I
Oscar
mean, I
said,
love you, dude, but you should be taking the penalty,
yeah,
and you definitely should not be taking the penalty with your shoulder hanging out.
yeah.
So,
So Oscar said no because
yeah,
you needed rest. Like,
yeah,
you just got your shoulder. It
yeah,
took five mother, yeah,
yeah,
to pop it back in.
yeah.
You're asking me to
But
take a PK? Oscar said under no circumstance you're taking a penalty right now. So
also, shout out for him for being that boss that he just runs off the field and says, "Pop my shoulder back in, and I'll carry on." Like that's
yeah,
yeah,
he was mad according
he,
to Oscar. Like he
he's
was
a real
pissed.
one for sure.
Yeah, he was pissed.
Yeah. We got another one. Sid says, my dad's birthday is this Friday. Can we win for him? Yes, we'll try and
Happy
win
birthday.
on it's actually on Sunday, but we'll try and win for your dad's birthday, Sid. Jeffrey O, Atlanta fans are going to invade the stadium, bro. Yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of Atlanta fans there. So make sure you get your tickets. Of course, if you have season tickets, you would have already been charged. I know some people don't like that. That's just how it works. So you need to opt out if you don't want them, but most people should have tickets already. Joshua Tall says OC should have a PK in the first half. I was like, oh no, when Torres missed, but glad he made it. Yes, we're always concerned when that first one didn't go in. Shore McCullen says, I don't know why the pen went to VAR. Yeah, we don't know either. That was stupid, Luis, right? Like, let's be honest. What are we
Yeah,
looking
then
at?
they don't have a proper place for VAR in the stadium. I do want to say. I mean, it just seems it's too close to the fans, and you never know some
But
drunk.
making Faku wait that long on a clear penalty call was, yeah.
I mean, it could be some guy with no shirt on,
Why
drinking.
why did the VAR tell the ref to go look at it?
You
They
know.
should have just been like, "Yeah, you got the call right."
I mean, but
Like,
there's got to be. I mean, they got to put a VAR actual screen in a different area, not in that,
where he gets intimidated there, but
not right in front of the fans. What
yeah,
happens if there's some crazy dude, some lunatic,
I
that
mean,
throws something to the ref? You know what I mean? So these
yeah,
are the type of things that I think we need to think about. Good thing that our fan base is not like that, but you never
yeah.
know.
I'm sure he gets abuse from the
Yeah,
people sitting there.
fucking call it, man. Fucking
I
call.
would definitely be
Yeah,
like, "You're
right.
blind, bro." Alrighty. Joshua Tall says, sorry, here we go. We got to score those chances when we play Atlanta that we missed. Yeah, I mean that first half we left a lot on the table. He also said, "I was glad Atlanta won versus Miami since I preferred us to play Atlanta." CJ says, "Oh, captain, my captain." Probably talk about
Rob Valentino.
yeah, Rob Valentino. Sidge, this one talking about the cup. Stream Jesus, man, we really need that little star on the badge. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens though, like if Orlando makes it to the semis or even to the finals, I'm just letting you know the whole Papi out argument. It's completely dead and gone, man. Like you might as well just tattoo it as a tramp stamp on the back. You know what I mean? Because that's the only way you're gonna see that. But that whole argument is gone. Sorry to say, but I mean, there's no way you can come out of that, and there's no other way. People are gonna bully you in the interwebs.
We're, one game at a time, but let's just try and beat Atlanta. That's the next thing. Kill says, if we win MLS Cup final, wow, the things that would do for the team and the city, most importantly the people. Shout out Phil Rollins. So yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to the owner and founder Phil Rollins. Josh Rittal says, "Yep, John, agree with you. And one of my friends said Miami didn't defend good enough. Totally right." Stream Jesus said Neymar's knee doesn't want him though. Oh, Neymar. Oh yeah. I don't think. I'm hoping that's not gonna happen, Luis. Kill says, Luis, you read comments backwards sometimes. It's confusing. So read
For
them.
sure.
Read them in order. We're doing that for you. Kill.
I mean,
Here you
you won
go.
prize with that.
We'll get you fries with that, bud. Anthony Solis says Atlanta plays three at the back and they overcrowd in the midfield. The game will be tough against them.
Oh, for sure.
We are going to do a full preview of Atlanta next week, of course, because we got 2 weeks. So join us next week and we'll talk all
That's
about
gonna be, man.
that.
I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that.
What?
I mean, this long break, man. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
nerve
crazy that we
wracking,
don't
dude.
have a game this weekend. Yeah,
Every
it's
time
gonna
we
be
come back
so
from a
long.
long break, it feels like we poop the bed.
Yeah. Oh God. Josh Rittal says, John Lewis, someone who was Pappy out said sorry for being Pappy out and completely
No, I'm
proved me
just kidding,
wrong.
guys. No, I'm just
Sean,
kidding. I'm just
Sean
kidding.
McCullough says, I gotta be honest, during the game after Charlotte scored, I was like, if Orlando doesn't win this, could be Pappy's last game. I mean, we don't know how the ownership thinks. I
Um,
think that's the thing. Even if we had lost, I see what you're saying, but we don't know whether they would have been like roll again next year.
but okay. But I'm just saying this. Why? What would happen if? Yeah, okay, we've got eliminated Charlotte. Okay, we got eliminated at home in front of 20,000 people. People are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I know, puppy out, puppy out." Okay, what happens if the Wolves decide 4 more years? 4 more years. Are you gonna chain yourself outside gate D? Are you gonna walk with a sign for 365 days saying "puppy out"? What are you gonna do? You're gonna go become an Inter Miami fan or a Rowdy fan? I just think that sometimes decisions that management does. I mean, if you take the pluses and the cons, Oscar still is a top 3 level coach in the MLS. I mean, people right now are like calling about Jim Curran. Yeah, Jim Curran is a great coach, but I feel because there's so many Latinos in the team, I don't think Jim Curran is going to be able to probably have the same level of communication as, let's say, Oscar. You know, um, I mean, unless you want to bring a complete, you want to bring a top like Guardiola, or Mourinho. I just think the club is going to make the decision in the end. But if you take the balance of Orlando as an organization, what they've accomplished this year, if they get far and they get to the final, I mean, with Oscar at the boat after losing and going through all that turmoil in the beginning of the season, I think it's very positive. I think it's very positive. And yeah, you just gotta go at it one more time. Now we're getting closer and closer to that promised land.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, we're getting closer to the promised land. Maybe some players are gonna be leaving, contracts are up, new players are gonna be coming. So it's just part of the
Yeah.
process.
I mean,
If
I think at the end of the day, only one team wins MLS Cup.
Right,
So if your standard is only MLS Cup or nothing, then you're never like Inter Miami fans, you're not happy even though you won the Shield, right? Like,
yeah,
so I think for us, it comes down to the ownership and when they think that Oscar has taken them as far as they can go, and I don't think that they see his ceiling yet. I think they believe in him and keep on backing him until we win it. So if we hadn't made playoffs this year, I think definitely like, or even if we come like eighth or ninth, it would have been like, okay, you took a big step back. But a lot of the pundits are saying we're in a stronger position now in the playoffs than we were last year. Like,
yeah,
yes, we had a horrible start to the beginning of the season, and
of course,
that's unacceptable. And like when we talk to Dagger and Duncan, like they know that. They know that. Oscar knows that. They all know.
yeah,
They don't want to
they don't
repeat
know it.
that. They're not going to aim to repeat that. So I think if we can do something this year, get to like Eastern final or get to the MLS Cup final, there's definitely an argument to say it's progress and we've improved. I think even from this point, you say, okay, well, we've pretty much achieved what we did last year, and we're still, one of the top teams in the East, and that's good progress, and that's where we want to be. So I don't think they're gonna let him go, regardless of what happens now.
Yeah. Now Pat Noonan is in Cincinnati, correct? I think he's been the coach there since 2021. Is that correct? Since they got eliminated just now
Yeah.
by, are their fans talking about replacing Pat Noonan?
Honestly, I like no. I mean, they shouldn't be. Like, I don't think I don't think Philly should have got rid of. I
Jim
think that's a
Curran,
mistake. I
same
think
here.
that is a mistake. And I think a lot of the people around the league were like, yo, that they had one bad year under
Yeah.
him and they've been consistently good. And also with him, you have to remember how good he is at like developing
Yeah.
their youth talent. And that's something that we've been okay at, but really like we could be a lot better at. So
No.
like from a Philly perspective, this guy made you a top team. Yes, you had one bad year, but I also think that MLS coaches, like really good MLS coaches, just don't grow on trees. Like they really don't. And I
Yeah.
think the top ones, there's like a gap between okay, who's interested in coming and coaching in MLS and who's really good coach in MLS. You know what I mean? Like it's such a unique league that guys like Wilfred Nancy, they don't. There's not like 10 more of them waiting. Like
Yeah, of
you know what I
course,
mean? Like
but
it's not easy to replace your Jim Curtins and your Oscars because
right. Are you
they're in a
going
top
to?
bracket.
They got eliminated in the first round. Are they going to get rid of Wilfred Nancy? I don't think so. So
No,
the
that would
whole
be
point is,
crazy.
if you evaluate the positives and the negatives, I guarantee you a big look. And again, I don't want to push buttons, but is the truth. If I'm Pedro Gallese and I'm an Oscar guy, and he pretty much revitalized my career, and they're playing hardball with him after really pretty good successful years for a small organization in Central Florida that they don't have any major sport team in any sport. We're a small market, and that's when people think that this is Liverpool or this is Crystal Palace or this is like Chelsea. No, we're Orlando City. We're known for the theme parks. Okay. Now, this is a guy has done all of that slowly but surely, getting better seated, higher. Now we're in the verge of maybe facing Atlanta and hopefully going to the finals. Now, what's gonna happen is, do you feel right now we let this guy go after it's just unheard of in my opinion. It's
I
completely
think if we lose to Atlanta, a lot of people will say,
yeah.
no like you got to the Eastern Conference last year, sorry, semifinals last year and lost. Same thing again this year, and they'll say
And so
based on the beginning of the year and our overall performance, then this is a step backwards. Where
but you're listening to people that, I mean, I'm just saying, you're listening, you're giving up, you're giving in, you're making the same mistake as Philly. You're
I think
listening
I
to
think
a
also
part
it's
of
just
the crowd,
yeah.
right? That,
I
that
think
says,
it's
"Oh, we
people that
deserve, we
don't
deserve better."
believe in
Who
Oscar's
you,
style as
yeah,
well,
who
and
you're bringing?
people want a change regardless. And I think that if you made a change and assume that you're constantly like you're instantly going to get better, I think that's one thing. But you know, I- for me, if they got rid of Oscar, you really have to be a
Has to be
clear
some much
improvement in
better.
coach. Like
Correct.
really, like it have to be either a very good current MLS coach or one that's like
Top
European
level,
top level that,
like
I don't
Mourinho, like
right.
Mourinho.
Like, we don't want to get rid of Oscar and then we're searching for a guy because there's no point in that.
Right. I mean, there's no point of getting rid of Oscar and getting, and with all due respect, getting Rob Valentino, for example.
Yeah, and also Oscar, he like he said before, like he still feels like there's growth and stuff. So if he gets to a point where he feels like he's taking us as far, and that maybe that could happen this
That
year,
could
where
happen
he's
this
like,
year.
look, we
I
like you
agree.
never know. He might be like, hey, I went again and we didn't do it again, and
Yeah.
I feel like this is it, and I want to move on. Like it can happen, you
But there are
know.
players, in that team that we currently have right now that they're very loyal to Oscar.
Yeah, and I think that's the
And
thing is people forget. It's like okay. But we built a team that's knows how to play Oscar style, that knows how to play with him, that knows how to play with each other. So you can just throw another coach in there, but he's probably gonna want to like move guys on and change and have a whole new tactic and have guys that suit his tactic and all of that. So it's not just as simple as like, okay, just drop another coach in there. It doesn't instantly make your players better. And I think that's a lot of what the perception is, that people think that Oscar is like stifling our players, that he doesn't let them be creatively attacking. And maybe there's some arguments to that by the way that we are defensively solid and the way that he drills them. But I tell you what, you know who else does that? Pep Guardiola.
exactly. And right now
That's modern football. It
they're
might be boring, but that's modern football. Guys stay
they're
in
losing
position.
4 games in a row, and people are freaking out.
Right, you stay in shape, you stay in position, you have to put your work through the ball. You might not be a, constantly creative threat because you're part of a unit, you're part of a team. And I think a lot of the frustration around Oscar's tactics is based on how we used to be when we first started out. Under him, when we first started out, we were very defensive. And that's because we leaked goals for years and it's developed over time. I feel like we are now, especially at home, Luis, we're a very attacking team. So, I think some of this Oscar's a defensive coach all the time is perhaps unfounded.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna make that decision. In the end, it doesn't pertain to us. If Oscar decides to leave, definitely forever a Lion. If he doesn't, then obladi oblada, life goes on. On to the next season, right? And yeah, I mean, I feel Orlando right now, even though I don't like the 2 week break, but I feel like on paper, this is a team that should definitely make a pretty big case against Atlanta. Now, Atlanta's going to come super motivated. They're going to come probably very gung ho to get this win against Orlando and kill Orlando and Miami, you know. But we'll see. We'll give it to them. And then if Orlando goes through, eventually we could be facing NYCFC.
I mean, it's sort of like the revenge tour, It's
It's
like
the revenge
all of our
of all
rivals
the
are
past all the past
yeah,
rivals.
yeah.
You know,
I'm gonna
crazy.
pick up the comments again, Luis, so we left off. Stream Jesus. People don't get the work Pappy has done. He sacrificed his hairline. The guy is literally bald. Anthony Solis. Imagine Minnesota cleans house in the West, then comes to Orlando for the final. Yeah, we talked about the potential of the Adrian Heath final or the Adrian Heath Cup. We'd love to see that. Joshua Tall says, what I was trying to say about someone on Twitter was Pappy out, and Pappy proved me wrong, completely wrong, and was like,
Well,
sorry.
silence makes quite for a lot of that, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Joshua
so
Tall also says, facts, Luis John, the cup could extend Pappy's contract.
it could.
It could happen. He's already under for another year anyway. So
Yeah, he still has another
um,
year, you know.
Stream Jesus says, Pappy, take the furthest in MLS so far. Faith is key. Yeah, he is taking us very far. Sidge Taylor says, MLS for us, get cup, not for Atlanta. Yes, Sidge. MLS Cup for us, buddy.
Let's go.
Not for Atlanta. Jeffrey O says the cup is coming home.
Hopefully.
That would be, that would be nice. That would be
No,
nice.
please don't jinx it, Jeffrey. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, if the cup's coming home, let's say, you know, let me daydream. Let me smoke a fat one and daydream. Um, if it does come home, it'll be amazing. It'll be like, people are gonna be like, oh, I was wrong. I was wrong about my assessment here.
It would be madness, man. I think based on where we were at the beginning of the season, like after Atlanta got knocked out, sorry, after Miami got
Puppy
knocked
hugged
out,
me so tight.
I just kept thinking about that 5-0 at the beginning of the season. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, we got beat 5-0 at the beginning of the year, but here we are at the playoffs and we're still in it and you're out. So it kind of, I feel like we've been saying that all year, Luis. Like it only really matters, at this point. Like, of course, you want to win the Shield, you want to be, but if you're not competitive in that top one or two, this is the time when it matters, when you want to be hot, and the top three are out, and our chances just got a whole lot better.
I'm
So
sure
exciting times.
I'm sure the boys know that, and I'm sure Oscar knows that because they're getting every single game pretty much at home right now to get to the MLS final. And if we get Minnesota, you're talking about we're hosting the MLS Cup here in Orlando.
Yeah, I think it's only LA, the LA teams, and who else?
Yeah, so if you put I think you have the bracket, right?
I do have the bracket. Yeah. It's the LA teams in Seattle are above us, right? Oh no, Seattle came fourth as well.
You want to put it on real quick?
Yeah, I can show you.
Yeah, we can share it real quick. That way people can
So
see.
I saw a tweet, I believe it was Tom Bogert, that said, I mean, the
Yeah,
LA teams
so
make sense because they're seeded 1 and 2
yeah,
in the
so
West, so they're obviously above us. But Seattle is seeded fourth, and we're
yeah,
fourth. So I don't know how they decided that, but I believe Tom Bogert said, yeah, LA, LA, and Seattle would host above us.
uh-huh.
But if Minnesota get through, I'm not, I'm not hopeful of that one, Luis. I feel like LA Galaxy are gonna be in this final. I think.
It would be awesome if Minnesota goes through, and you imagine Minnesota pulls the upset, and then we go play against
Yeah.
Minnesota, man. MLS final, man. Let me daydream. That'd be amazing. And you remember Pride Shield winners and WSL, man. It would be a win-win season for the Lions and for Lions and Pride. Wow.
Josh Rotel says pretty cool. Pride and OC in playoffs in this
See?
position. Yeah. If you did
Yeah.
not see the Pride, go watch their highlights of their game from Friday night. They absolutely smashed it. I mean,
That was the win.
4-1 in the playoffs was just destruction of Chicago. We'll obviously be here tomorrow night to talk all about that. They don't have a wait. They have a smart, intelligent playoff system that's just one game, 1 week
Exactly.
at a time, Luis. They're going to be done. They're going to be done, soon. So obviously, come watch the Pride this Sunday. They're going to be playing. So they've got no Orlando City this week. Come watch the Pride,
Yeah.
please, because they are playing a game against Kansas City Current that is massive. Like it's the semifinal against the team that is, the host location for the final. So it's huge. If we beat them, we go to the final, and it's a neutral site. So this is epic for the Pride. So if you've not been to a game, please, make an effort to come out and support it. The atmosphere was awesome on Friday. So thank you to everybody who came out.
Yeah, proud of everybody that came and supported the Pride for sure. It was massive. Len,
Landon's got the answer. It was the Shield. Got you.
yeah,
Yeah, the Shield
Shield
ranking.
standings. Yeah,
Yeah, the Shield standing. So they're above us in the Shield standings.
still, I mean, Orlando has played pretty good games against Seattle, but obviously Seattle is a team that it's used to getting to the MLS final, so they have more experience playing those type of games. As long as Orlando just makes it to the final, to me, I'm content. To be honest with you, that'll be a pretty big deal, and I don't
Yeah.
think you will make the case for getting Oscar out at that point. There's no way.
Stream Jesus says, if we win, can we get an LPO exclusive party?
Sure.
Maybe that would be cool. I like to
Yeah, it'd be
maybe.
cool. If we
Yeah,
don't have,
if it's like a MLS Cup away, maybe we'll do a watch party for it, like do
yeah,
an online or something, or we'll go to a watch party. I don't know. We'll see. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah, man,
Luis.
that'll be
One game at a time.
yeah.
Monday we'll be back again to preview Atlanta next week. But I think that's everything we got today. Luis, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to thank obviously today's Veterans Day. So to all
Yes.
people in the armed forces, or that have been part of the armed forces, thank you for your service and for your sacrifice to the country, and also to my good friend Alonso Contreras, that he also fought in Afghanistan, for here for the United States. So thank you, Alonso. Also Haley Carter as well. So uh, you know, thank you for your service as well. And yeah, hopefully all the veterans today had a wonderful day. Again, it's important, the job that they do and for the safety of our country. So much appreciate that. Other than that, no, just excited for tomorrow, Pride Pod, 7 o'clock. Thank you for about 95 people live, John. About pretty good day today. So thank you to
Yeah.
everybody that's been
Happy
watching and
Veterans
listening.
Day to everybody.
Happy Veterans,
I
yep.
had to go to work anyway, so I didn't
Yeah,
get the
same here.
holiday. But
Same here.
I'm glad if you did get the holiday. We got a few more comments here, Louise. Stream Jesus says Stoke City smoked Blackburn Rovers. Ha, felt good watching that. Yes, as a Stoke fan, I gotta say that was great. Blackburn, love to see them
Are you
losing.
watching Stevenage? Mhm.
Anthony Slew says Orlando just has to win the next 3 games. Lol. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right.
Pride are 2 wins away from winning it all, and Orlando City are 3 wins away from winning it all.
Imagine.
Madness when you think about it like that.
Madness. Yeah.
Happy Veterans Day, says Anthony Sleece. One thing I also want to talk about, Luis, and you got these too, but I want to say thank
Oh
you
yeah.
to
Yeah, I
the
actually haven't
media
opened them
team.
yet.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody in the Orlando City media team. They sent us some really cool gifts. I got this awesome poster. I posted it online. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if these are available to the public, Luis. I think we
Yeah, I
got like
haven't opened it
exclusive
yet,
posters
but
here.
all teeth.
But this one is super cool. Yeah, with Ojeda. I love it. It's like their Mario brothers, Ojeda and Enrique. We got the El Cuervo with Facu on.
There you go. Look at
And then we also got the El Pulpo with the crazy, octopus. I love this. So I'm gonna put these up on the wall, add to my collection, Luis. So yeah, a nice little gift there, thanking us
Oh
from
yeah,
the
thank
media. So
you.
thank you guys,
Take
and
it to the club.
yeah, that was awesome to get. So exciting times, ready for playoffs.
Ready for playoffs, and then we have after playoffs off season. I do want to announce that we're still following former Pride players and City players that are maybe at a USL. We're going to be covering that because the USL is still on, I believe. And then we're going to have then the rumors. The rumors are going to start brewing after the new year, right? That's going to be insane. Insane. I can't believe the year is over, John.
I
The
know
year.
it seems like yesterday that it was preseason, and we were talking about, you know.
Cavalry.
Yeah,
Remember?
like
And
I
remember
literally
they.
Cavalry won their league, man. Like I
Yeah,
was like, yo, these guys are winning.
yeah, cavalry.
So yeah, I saw that. I still follow them on Twitter, but
Great
that's
guys, man.
wild.
Great guys. Great
Yeah,
guys.
it's a long time ago that we were in Champions League, and it's been a long season, a lot's going on. But we're here at the end now, back where we were last year, with a chance to win it, and the chance to go through in the semis and on to better things. So I'm hopeful.
There you go. Sitch Taylor says, "Sing for us, John."
Next time, Sid.
Next
Next
time.
time. Next time.
Maybe we win the
Um,
championship. We win the
yeah,
championship.
Luis, you could sing the socials if you want. How about that?
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So we're at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you, everybody that's listening as well. We are on X at LP_podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you guys for everybody that joined today. Thank you for your support. And again, vamos Orlando.
Vamos, Orlando.
Take care.